There we go. There we go. Hey, all right. So everyone, so welcome Alchemy 101, the informal version. Last year, I'm working on this new system, guys. Give me just a sec. Let me know how that sounds out there with the mic and everything. If it's too loud, too quiet, whatever it might be, let me know. But so Alchemy 101, right? It's been this amazing show I started about a year ago, and it's been amazing. Thank you guys, everyone that comes in every week and has commented some emails, all that stuff. Thank you guys. Thank you. But this year, I want to put together, I don't know, kind of a more informal-ish kind of show. And so this week, we're going to be talking about, sorry, I was trying to get this mic right, the magic of religion, right? So this is a really, really exciting thing to me, just because once upon a time, I was a youth pastor, guys, believe it or not. Like I was at a First Assembly, and I had done the being laid out in the Spirit and all that good stuff. All that. It's good. I'm not saying that there's a bad thing about it at all, but I don't think it really is the way it's pitched to us, the way it's explained to us, all those things. I don't believe that. It's not from being, coming from Elo, what's up, brother? How you doing? An informal show today, say hi, chill. Wish I had some green magic right now, smoke with you, so it's okay. But I don't, it's not that there's not a God by any means, guys. So please understand that when you see these people talking about spirituality and getting into nature and wanting to find out about shamanistic stuff and druid stuff and all that, it's not that people are going after anything evil, they're going after anything bad. So I think that's the first thing that is the magic of religion is it was initially, to be a design of how to be in touch with our divinity or the divine before we really rediscovered or however it happened of us forgetting these things along the way, whatever. But it's just not the same thing as everyone says that it is. And I think this year, especially this last 2018, there was so much growth and so much change and so many people coming out of these old patterns that it made the end of the year really stagnant and really draggy and really I just had so many people tell me about weird things that was happening with friends and family, and I think it's because people are starting to kind of get out of the program, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's fantastic. So because of that, I wanted to put together kind of a secondary show. Usually Alchemy 101, we do Thursdays. Dude, we totally have to go live. Elo, would love to have you on. And this probably won't be on the radio, but I'm recording the vocals just in case. We'll see how it goes, but I think it'll be fun. And if you stick around for the whole time, man, I'd love your input and your feedback on this. And a coalition of what put together this week's show, The Magic of Religion, was a lot of different questions that people have asked me. One thing in particular, and just because I'm doing the show differently than how I usually do it, I can't show you guys the screen really, but I had posted this thing of Osho, right? And it says, I'm going to read this to you guys. It says, people who are spiritually minded tend to suffer from anxiety and depression more. You know why? Because their eyes are open to a world that is in need of repair. They literally have an increased ability to feel emotions and people around them. So I posted this, and guys, this is a very old meme quote, so and it's been around for quite a long time. But I had 22 comments that happened back and forth in this, and a lot of people were just like, man, I really feel that. All this makes sense to me now. Thank you for sharing this, all those things. So I don't think that this is information people don't know, but part of the idea behind Alchemy 101 and the show and Mistech, really everything I do is so people can understand putting together all these different things that they see into the world, the reality that they have in front of them. And when you know those base forms of what's going on or possibly what's there, it just gives you the ability to have more tools to work with and more things that you can use to manipulate your reality to get into what it is that you want to be. You know what I mean? So hopefully this makes some sense. So the magic of religion, right? When it first started off, right? I'm gonna give you guys a couple different analogies because Marissa, thank you so much for the questions. It's been amazing. And I'm gonna get into your questions in just a second, but part of one of the first things she asked me about was me leaving the church, and a lot of people that go through their spiritual growth, a lot of people do come from a religious place. And so I brought up a quick guide. Hopefully, if you guys are still on the channel, so there's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna show you guys. This is an old analogy I came up with a drinking buddy of mine to explain spirituality versus religion, right? Something I call the vodka god. You guys didn't like this? Check this out. So this is just a glass of water, okay? Or is it? Is it really vodka? It might be. It might be. It might be. Now, I really strongly believe that all the religions definitely start with the same base, right? Which is be good to each other, respect yourself, respect this world that we have, and that's pretty much it. After that, when the rules start coming in, that's more of a control thing to me, guys. That's just my opinion. I don't think that at some point maybe these religions and these events and these evangelists, maybe at some point, and maybe still some out there do care about humanity. But it's really, really tricky to think that that's a real thing when there's so much terrible things that are going on, but you've got the Catholic Church sitting on billions of gold, just sitting there, just sitting there, not doing anything. You've got a GoFundMe made by our current president to build this wall. And guys, there's tons of money that this thing has generated, but Flint, Michigan still doesn't have water. Like there's just the things that are there for what you think is supposed to be our moral compass really isn't there, guys. And I feel a lot of people go through life in a struggle and a depression and a confusion because we, as a kid, you grow up thinking someone's going to give you the answers, right? Or when you become an adult, you just magically get them. When you're an adult, you look to people like your officials, your head of your church, maybe, your president, things like that. And so when you're not seeing these things alleviated, when there's not hope, when there's not a sign of some sort that things are going to improve, you can get desperate and you can start to feel anxious. You can start to have anxiety. And guys, this is a normal thing, right? I was watching was it the Daily Show, right? That's where I get my news. I don't do the fake news stuff. I like the Daily Show. That's just me. And then I like to look it up afterwards. But still, but on there they were talking about allergies, right? And that 60% of people in the United States currently that think that they have allergies don't. So that's a weird thing. We have this thing that we've started doing where if we don't like what's happening with us, we'll put it in this little box and label it with I'm depressed, and then put it over here, and everyone that comes by goes, hey, what's in that box? You go, oh, it's my depression. And everyone, oh, I got one of those at home too. No one asks you what's in the box. No one asks you when's the last time you opened it. Is it still doing okay in there? Like these are things that we don't talk about, they don't get brought up. But guys, this is how you improve things. This is how you get the help. This is how you make the change. And so with church, right? And so if I upset epicity went off, good. I'm happy. I'm good with that, because when you're emotional, it means that usually it's tied to something that's pretty deeply rooted. And if you're really emotional and you're really sure of what you're emotional about, hopefully it means you'll take the time to do some research and look into it, and then go from there. No part of my mission at all, whether it's Mistech, Alchemy 101, whatever it is that I'm doing, Halo Marquise, is definitely not to make your life more difficult. I promise it's things to make things easier and more simple, but the truth will always set you free. It just usually will piss you off first, and that's okay. You have to understand that that's also going to be part of it, okay? Daniel Lane in the building, thank you. Oh, my wife too. Oh, okay, we'll jump in. Hey, how you guys doing? Sorry, just saw that. So I'm going to get into some of these questions, unless anyone that's in the channel now has any coffee, water, vodka, stay hydrated. And don't worry, guys, I didn't forget about the vodka. We'll go back to that in a second. So part of one of the shows in Alchemy 101, we talked about this time where I was with pastors from my church and literally saw like a possession, like for real. Like see the movie Constantine, watch the beginning part. Very similar to that, which I think is great. There's a lot of truths hidden in a lot of these things we call science fiction, and science fiction becomes smaller and smaller every minute. Thank you, Elon. Thank you for what you do, man. So, when you were younger and did your spontaneous healing, like the depossession, were you ever able to later on understand what exactly you did? Have you ever analyzed why and how your magic works. All right, so guys, so I'm gonna let you in on what I think is probably the best kept secret out there, right? Is that the word magic is the exact same word as energy. Weird. Now, contextually, we use them differently, and contextually, we have a different understanding. But I promise you guys, it's the same thing. Like if you're from out in the middle of nowhere, you've never heard the words Jesus Christ, you never heard God, none of that, right? But you have heard the word magic, and you walk up. Rob, what's up, brother? It's gonna be a fun episode, man. If you can stick around, I'd love your feedback, But it'd be very interesting if you took someone that did not know Jesus Christ was their Lord and Savior, right? Or that he died for their sins, which is weird because I did the dishes so they'd be clean and then there's no more dishes. So if you die for everyone's sins, then there shouldn't still be sin. I don't know, guys, just I do math with a lot of stuff and these things mess me up. Tavius, what's up, brother? You like this? So if you walked into like a Pentecostal church where I was at, right? I was at a First Assembly in Kingman, Arizona, right? Yeah. But it's okay. And I was one of those people that when I went and saw, I was there because of a hot chick. She invited me to go, and I figured, it's a good, thank you, Jesus. Save me that. That's great. But so I went to this church, and at the end, everyone starts praying, and they go up, and I'm looking at this, and I'm going, no, there's no way possible that just happened. And she goes, you should go up and get prayer. And I go, well, I don't really believe any of that. And she goes, well, it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. You should still go, and you'll actually be able to feel what's going on. And I'm like, all right. And so, again, I'm working a different angle than she is, but still, I'm like, all right, I'll go. And I'm telling you guys, as I'm up there, right, and the pastor comes and puts his hands on me, and bam, and I start feeling real wobbly, and I don't like it. But I'm invested, so I'm gonna ride this out and see what happens. And next thing I know, boom, I'm laid out, cold on the ground, could not move, stuck. Now, if I was that person that never heard of Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, when I could finally move again, guys, I'm telling you, I was literally like paralyzed on the ground. Oh, this feels amazing. With just waves of euphoria, bow, 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 crazy. And if I was that guy, I would stand up and go, magic. What was that? And half the people in the church, because guys, we have this thing where we ostracize people who don't think the same way as us. And I mean, I do it in a joking, condescending, fun-loving way, but there's people out there that go, you don't believe in Jesus? What kind of Satan do you worship? Just because it's not Jesus. So we have to stop, first of all, understanding, like, we have to stop saying if you don't do this, or if you're black, that you're going to rob someone. Or if you're not a Christian, you believe in the devil. Or if you go out and dance under the moon, that you're worshiping false God. You can't do those things. You don't know the reason people do the things that they do. So all I'm saying is, when I was up there, if I jumped up and said magic, half the people in the church would have wanted to throw holy water on me and get me the hell out of there as quickly as possible. How dare I use the word magic in the house of God, right? And that just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I got up, stuck. Now, when Marissa had asked me this question about analyzing my magic, I believe, right? I don't like the word believe. I know. So stop saying believe. Beliefs can change. Not important. Orlando, what's up, brother? How you doing? Dale, how you doing? Thank you guys for showing up. It'll be fun. So it's all energy. So it's not a belief. You have to know stuff. Your beliefs can change. Your knowledge cannot change. It can grow and it can expand, but the knowing does not change. Like 2 + 2 will always be 4. There's not enough information out there that you can get that will ever change. Now, if you take math, right, which is a consistent, doesn't really require belief, not a lot of systems, any of that. It's math. Once you know it, there's not an amount of new information that you can get that will change that knowing. But there's all sorts of information out there that can consistently change your belief. And so that's why you cannot have a belief. Even the word belief has the word lie in it. Knowledge does not. You know what I'm saying? So it has the word know. So it's very important to know. So I know that magic and energy are the same thing. And while science is still saying we've got our physical body, right, but we also now acknowledge our consciousness, our light being. Where does that reside? Where is it? We don't know. We don't have that information yet, not in the mass sense, right? So because of that, A lot of things that are maybes and ifs get thrown out the window, but a lot of absolutes that we know become ignored, right? So watch this. Watch this. This is crazy. A Muslim person might decide to go crazy and say they're going to do an Al Qaeda and do all these crazy. Maybe. Might. I know a lot of Muslims. I've never had a problem. Never happened. Right. So I don't have a problem with it. I don't. But there's a lot of people that are out there that have a problem with that. They have a problem just that you're Muslim for no reason other than that. Now watch this. Watch this, guys. You ready, Christians? Right? Hold on. We don't even see it in the paper anymore. Catholic priests do things to little kids all the time. All the time. Still. We had the actual Pope, the guy that runs all of it, pardon certain people and excuse it and talk about it. And that's a definite, but people still go to that, and that's still okay. I don't see how this coalition of certain people in certain areas, creeds, religions, beliefs, whatever it might be, does this, so now everyone does. You can't do that. You have to get away from doing that. But that's the magic of religion. It makes everyone come in and be like us, and if not, then and that doesn't seem helpful. There's things out there that just don't make sense to me. So when she was asking me, and guys, get back to the question. Marissa asked me, discovering my magic and analyzing and finding out what really happened. I believe for sure. Okay, this is where the belief part comes in. That something happened in there. I believe that something happened. What I know is my consciousness has a certain amount of energy to it, right? That runs through my chakra systems and runs through my electric body. I understand that. If that field, like any other type of electrical type system, gets overloaded, it can essentially shut down. And as it's rebooting, you're going to feel euphoria of everything in your body coming back into coming back into these things. So do I think Jesus did it? No, I don't. Because I've been to Reiki treatments where one person, not praying to anyone, just using their intent, which is also the same thing that prayer is. And Marissa, getting back to your question, that's where the magic is a manifestation and intent. And prayer is just a tricky way of getting all of you Christians out there to do sorcery and do spell work. Congratulations. I'm letting you know. Whether you like it or not, it doesn't make a difference. It's still a fact. Jesus, lich, not a zombie, a lich. Doesn't matter if you like it, it's still a fact. You just have to look up what the meanings of these things are. So when I get laid out, right, and the system gets overloaded, I'm laying there, and when you don't know what's going on, you jump up and everyone goes, Jesus did that. You go, oh, everyone says so? Oh, okay, it was Jesus. And because you have this amazing experience, the very next day you want to go and tell everyone, right? You want to know, hey, this happened to me, and you want other people to have this crazy experience, even though you don't really know what happened. You're just telling them what everyone else told you. And that's kind of the way that humans work, and that's okay. That's all right. But when you get into the actuality of what actually really, really happened, the knowing, I believe it was not that part. Incredible things happened. So my mom, right? Love you, Mom. If you see the show, love you. She was a pastor at the church and everything. And when you get Reiki done the first time, right? If you guys have not tried Reiki, I'm telling you, go out there and get Reiki. If you're in the Portland area, hit me up. I'm crazy scheduled right now, but I'll see if I can find time to squeeze you in and experience it. But it's a very similar feeling to getting laid out at the church. Very similar. So when I became a Reiki master, I invited my mom, who, because she's a parent that loves her child first, was understanding. And it's really sad to me that there's not a lot of families out there. So you guys that are going through your woke phase and trying to self-evolve and do these things on your own, not doing it the way it was done before, my heart really goes out to you guys, man, because I was lucky enough to at least have my mom that was there supporting me and all that. So, but if you have questions or need support, you got me at least. So it's not as good as your mom, sorry. But we got to come together as a community and support each other more, right? It doesn't have to be one specific anything, right? We can have all these open ideas. And I don't think that there's any Muslim people out there that don't want their kids to be educated and safe and full and warm to them. I don't. Now, there's extremists. That's not Muslim. That's the extremists. The same way, I know that there's, Hispanic people that want to come here and live in this country. That's amazing. The same way that a bunch of white people did it hundreds of years ago. So all these things, we have all these similar ideas of what we would like to have in our version of a perfected, safe, loving environment. And then again, because we're humans, we go, well, you, and then we go, well, you, but none of that ever makes any difference. It's all irrelevant. It doesn't, who cares? You guys are in the channel with me right now. Thank you for spending the time, and I love you guys for that. And people that are throwing out questions and comments, thank you. It helps me learn and do more stuff. Tavius, energy can't be created nor destroyed. It's just transferred. Absolutely. And we talk about that. I mean, that's baseline alchemy. So here's the thing. I understand this. If you get a bottle of vodka, right? We'll get back to this now. So the vodka guy, right? And then we'll get into the questions of mercy. This is fun, but we had to have a good baseline first. So this is vodka, guys. Okay, this is it's good. It's good. Okay, the eyes might be a little red because I was testing it earlier. So all the religions have the spiritual component, right? Now a lot of the old like original churches and cathedrals and all these things. Even I think in the Muslim religion, there's Mecca where they go and walk around this big obelisk, right? Well, there's certain stones, guys, that vibrate at such a high frequency that when you get within the vicinity of them, it makes your body have a new type of sensation you're not familiar with, right? So if you don't know what that is, and someone goes, "That's God," you go, "Holy shit! I've never felt this anywhere but here. It must be God. I know it is. It's got to be." That's what they told me. So because you feel that new thing, oh, Daniel, I know you love this, man. The vodka, I know you love it. So because you've been told that so many times, and your father's father, and so on, you believe, man, that's some potent stuff, right? So if you got a little bit of the truth in there, the rest can be very believable. Because guys, so the vodka guy, this is how it works. Every Sunday, everyone's family gets together all around the world, and they go have a bottle of vodka, just like this. And when they drink it, because of the alcohol in their system, no other alcohol exists. Okay, we're getting back to this God thing. Because there's definitely a God. I just don't think it's any of the versions that we put. Like, we can't fathom what it is. Like, we don't even have a vocabulary to put it in, but we do our best to contextualize it, and that's okay. But the religions that have all the control and don't do this and that, and if you're not with me, you're against me, like, that's all gotta go. So anyway, so it's perfect. If we took this vodka, right, and at the very bottom, only that much was vodka. Because guys, check this out, watch this off. Now, that was a delicious bottle of water. It was just water. Yeah, no vodka was in there, guys. I'm just messing. But that's the thing, because now, if I did take some of this vodka, right, because I do really have a bottle, and I did really experiment, I'd make sure I get the parable right. And we put a little bit of that clear-looking vodka back in this clear-looking bottle, and then we took, some delicious Kangen water, right? You gotta have a Kangen water, it's very important. And we fill it up the rest of the way. Guess what would happen? It would still all look like vodka. And so that's what your religion is. That's where your magic of your religion comes from. They put a little bit in there so you do feel the real part of it, and then they add on all the extra bullshit and filler so you don't know the difference between what's water and what's vodka, or what's spiritual and what's spirit and what's God, in whatever version that they want for that thing, right? So hope that makes some sense. Hopefully that makes some sense. So analyzing my magic and how that all works. I think I answered that, but there's some other questions that I think will kind of help. So when you were in church and laid people out, same thing. Did you ever understand what was behind that, what you were actually doing? So again, guys, because we are energy beings, that's what we are. This thing that you're seeing me move is just a vehicle. It's a medium. It's not me. I'm within this, and this is just the best that we've got to communicate with right now. Like, if you're watching me right now, you're not here in person. This is the best version that you've got to have this experience. So very, very similar thing. But laying people out, right? So if I gave you, again, the vodka, you called it water, you would know the difference. You would just know it was a clear liquid of some sort that made you feel a certain way. So I think what happens in church is because we are amazingly powerful gods, right? That's right, Orlando. Add in the extra bullshit. Exactly. Sorry. It doesn't always auto scroll, so just remind me. I'll check. So, let me get back to this. You know my train, guys. Yeah. So when you go get Reiki done, you feel the same thing that you feel at church, but a way overabundant, pure version of it, right? So imagine that every single person out there right now, that you are a god in this plane. So you don't have access to all the godly things because not all the things are in this plane. Like if you go to a room with no paint, no colors, and it's all white, how are you going to get a color? You can't. It's not possible. It's not. So again, you don't have access to all the tools, but through alchemy, through studies, through meditation, you can learn to unlock these things here. It's really, really cool. But so imagine that all 7 billion of us are all sleeping gods, right? Just pretend with me for a second. And because of that, you still have access to some of your co-creative ability, right? That's what we do. So when you go to a church and you've got a room full of 100 or 1,000 people that are all using their ability to create, because we can do that. That's who we are, and they're making all of their intent, all of their energy that we call prayer bullshit. See, I don't. So anytime that I see someone say, thank God, whatever, I always say you're welcome because it's us that are doing this. That's it. Now, there's definitely again higher consciousness up there, working out the balance and all that. But for where we are, there is a degree of free will. So we have to understand and know that. So if you've got 300 people that don't know that they're gods, they don't know that, right? They don't know that they have this ability, but you get all of them to still focus on healing this person and sending their intent and their vibrational energy and all that. That person's going to get healed. Just because you said the name Jesus or not has nothing to do with it. Jesus is just everyone's got a focal point. Everyone look at that, right? But at the same time, you can go to ascended ish master. It doesn't have to be all the way to the master level. The mastery is a lifelong experience, ride, journey, all those things. But you can go and just have one person that's fully aware of what they can do and just self channel all of that actual energy and love and light through them directly into you without saying Jesus or God or even Buddha. I mean, you don't have to use any of those things. So the magic of religion has instead said, these are all the set defined things of what you can and can't do, and then follow all of this. And as soon as it's like anything else, majority rules. So if you've got a bunch of people that are out there that say this is it, you go, no, it's not, right? Yeah, but I know it is. I'm like, no. Well, then you can either join the group or you can be by yourself. And this year during the holidays, I feel like a lot of us that's kind of what happened, and it's tricky, especially because the people that care about us and love us the most, they'll be accepting, they'll let it go. But until they start their process of self-development, like you don't even have to get into the spiritual part in the beginning. You can just go into self-development. And if you really are embracing all of that and you're really diving deep, it's going to lead you in a spiritual direction anyways, because that is self. Like you cannot get away from it. Big thing I finally realized was when God said we are all made in His image. We are. That's right, man. Tavius, that's the beautiful thing, guys. That's what I'm saying, guys. A lot of these little hidden truths are right there. So when God said He created us in His image, then wouldn't that be the same thing? Work with me, guys. Work with me. Thank you. All right. So I'll read into this. What was your big aha moment about leaving the church and venturing down your own metaphysical learnings? Oh man, beautiful question. Thank you, Miss. So my big aha moment started when I saw Zeitgeist. That was my first. But before that, I had already had a lot of spiritual, magical, all these different types of trainings that were out there. At a young age, I got introduced to magic and energy and crystals and all that, but very briefly, and from the only kid that was allowed to play with the black kids in the town. Like it was crazy. So it was always there, but it was never fully expressed or fully explained in a term for me to understand, at least until I saw Zeitgeist. So if you guys have not seen the movie Zeitgeist, I believe it's Journey for the Truth, and I think there's even 3 or 4 out there now. Definitely go watch those. Like that will be a huge impacting thing. The big thing that made me leave the church, and I'm not going to get into all the stuff, but and we traveled to multiple churches and all these things, and because I was being a youth pastor, I was to become a full-on pastor. I was very much in the inner workings of what was going on in the church. A bunch of again, we travel all over the place. So when I started finding out things like certain pastors were sleeping with certain people in the church, or people that got saved from other countries, and finding out that there's this huge dark underbelly of what's going on within the church, I go, well, how can you guys be all love and benevolent and all these things, but this is still happening? And then I go, holy shit, it's all a big smoke screen. It's an amazing way to get money out of people and tell them what to do. This is brilliant. Man, this is magic. This is a Jedi mind trick right now. They've been fooling millions of people. This is crazy. So if you say, like, check this out, check this out. If you see a person walking down the street and they're talking to themselves, and you go, what are you doing? I go, I'm talking to Jesus. Oh, man. Hey, man, me too. Good guy. I love it. Thank you. That's okay. But you have another person that's walking out and they say, I'm talking with one of my guides, man. A lot of the normal society, not in Portland, thank you, Portland, will be like, that dude's fucking crazy. It's crazy. So again, you can be doing the exact same thing, but certain words that are used and put out there as smoke screens hide the fact of the real thing that's going on. And this is what a lot of the religions do. And then with our media, they use these like mass understandings of Muslim means that you're going to get blown up sometime. That's not what it means, guys. Not at all. Not even remotely close. That's so far off from anything. Or, oh, the Rastafarian, they just smoke weed. I mean, not just, but there's, we had to get away from these things. You have to do that. Make sure I get this question right. Make sure I get this out. Okay, so when I saw that, again, all these smoke screens were there and saw people that had a bigger church. Is that guy's mind-blowing stuff? Thank you, David. So when I saw, churches where you had families in there that were having a hard time eating, but then you got pastors driving a brand new F-150 and a new house and let me get some. How is I just don't again? There's these things. So to answer the question, I said like just when I saw the real thing, when I took the blinds off, right? That's what allowed me to see this. So with yeah, okay. So the Osho thing I was talking about earlier, that was kind of another thing that made me do that. Like the moment that I started really seeing, instead of just allowing it to be and say, well, God's going to save him when he wants to, it was a really stagnant moment for me. And so I feel that became the big moment for me when I understood the difference between Christians and spiritual people, or religions and spiritual people, or religions and morality, or religions and God, or gods. It's okay. And then it was so awesome. This is why I brought this up earlier. And man, everything keeps coming right back. It's cute. When I did this post, so some people are new to the channel. Pedro, I see you, baby. What's up? People who are spiritually minded tend to suffer from anxiety and depression more. One of the first things I got was, "Do you really believe that?" So, and it's funny, it's from I think Christian still. I don't know, I've asked. But then I got a crazy response. And guys, I love your feedback on this. You let me know what you think. But I think it really, for me, this is great. It might even come out on a T-shirt. Okay, so you guys, check out biztech.net for all the stuff I sell, and if you get the shirt, you guys let me know if you like this. So I had a guy who told me that when I posted about you feel more when you're awake. You have more anxiety, you have more depression. It's because you can see and know that you're all aware. I had a guy say that's why having the Holy Spirit and we can talk about it more, man. I was kind of hoping you'd be in the channel. That's why, but that's why having the Holy Spirit to fill and comfort you is essential. Okay, now, for Christians, I guess that's okay. If that's all you need, you just need to be comfortable. Then I agree. That is not an untrue statement. But that's not anything to do with what this quote of Osho is. This is saying that when you can see and feel the disharmony of all the people around you, you're depressed more, right? So if you couldn't see a monster standing behind someone and someone else could see it, I'm glad you can't see it, but it doesn't mean it's not there. So he says, helps curbs all that. And my reply to that was, it sounds like opioid use. That's kind of how I see it. And he said, he's the spirit of the living God that created the universe, and we were created to house him as a living temple, made without hands, to become love. That's why apart from him we feel empty or depressed or anxious. He's very real, and I'm very sober. I like that about the opioid joke. But here's the thing. I didn't say that I'm anxious or that I'm depressed, and I didn't say that every single spiritual person, and I didn't say that Osho did. We're talking about when people become new to being conscious and aware, and you're spiritual. there is a huge amount of new information and emotions that hit you that you know, well, you don't know where it's coming from, but it's not yours. So you're feeling all the pain, all the disharmony, all the chaos of all the things around you. And the crazy thing is, the deeper in you go, the more of it that you begin to feel, right? So Daniel, like, thank you, man. I was just about to say that. So he says, I believe the Holy Spirit is actually your highest self. Christianity fails in understanding this. They do. So here's the thing, because Paul, I was a youth pastor. I'm filled right now. It's not even a thing that really happens. It's a state of mind that you get into, very similar to when you go into a deep meditative state, or when you're dancing joyously and you get all this extra stuff, and you can't turn around and go, yeah, that's the Holy Spirit. No, no, it's not. He's that's not even a real thing. Is there one God or is there three? It's nothing confusing. Okay, I don't know. But so this is the main thing that I took away from what he said about this. Okay, that's why having the Holy Spirit to fill and comfort you is essential. Okay, now check this out, guys. I don't know about you, but when I'm comfortable the most is when I'm in bed, right? And what do you do when you're in bed? Sleep comfortably, right? And what is everyone within the conscious spiritual awakening? What are we at? We're woke. So stay comfortable in your ignorance, in your blindness, in your I'm comfortable with all of this that's going on because you're asleep. That's where you're most comfortable. So having the Holy Spirit to comfort you doesn't sound like it's fixing anything, right? That's why I said it sounds like opioid use. You're just doing something to blind to what the problem is. I'm very spiritually woke. I'm very connected with the universe. It's going through me, vice versa. I'm not depressed, anxious. I'm living my life, making magic every day with all my spells and all my sorcery and all of the manifestation of my worldly intent. The words that you use are spells. That's all it comes down to. It's that easy. Orlando, you brought this up a couple times. The book Noble Redmond will explain a small portion difference between native spiritual beliefs and church. Yeah, man, I'll definitely check out the book, man. Thank you. So yeah, so I don't think that being comfortable with all the stuff that's going on is an okay thing. But I also think, like, I mean, and the name is Praise Theophilus. So I'm guessing that means he's pretty deep into Christianity, and I think a lot of people that are that deep into Christianity share this sentiment. So any Christians that are in the channel or chatting, whatever, I would love to get your feedback and know how you would explain that to me, because again, that I just don't see those two going hand in hand. You can't be comfortable and fixing the situation at the same time. You can do one or the other, right? So that's why I don't like to sleep. Stay woke, stay moving. Don't be comfortable. Get into a place where you can grow, you can learn, you can experience, do all of those things. And if you got to isolate yourself, then do that. If you got to be around a ton of other people that will help you get there, then do that. And do whatever you got to do for you, but don't do what other people tell you that you need to do for you. If it's a suggestion, that's great. Take all the suggestions you can get. Like even coming on the show, listening to me talk, all suggestions. All just from my experience, what I've seen. But if it doesn't work for you, then don't. If being a Christian going through that is your good place, then I'm not saying that you should stop that at all. But I am still saying that it's not the true thing. Which, it's like having a 9 to 5. That's great. And if that's what you got to do to pay your bills, then do it. But the moment you can become a business owner, it's way better. You don't have to believe me. It can seem a little scary. It can, but it's way better. And maybe it's not for everyone. It's still way better. So again, just some of the things, guys. Sorry. Questions, Marissa. I remember your talk the other night about warning people about Jesus. How do you bridge that gap between a total diehard Jesus fanatic and waking them up to see that there's more? That's a fun question. That is a great question. So I warn people about it because, again, I think it's like smoking cigarettes. It was a cool thing for a really long time, and then they found out later on it would kill you. Is it? I just, man, that's such a difficult question. So I don't think any of your diehards are going to be anything that you can just say. There's not going to be a thing that you can do, say, anything that's going to change them. Ever. So know that going in, and that's an okay thing, right? That's not a bad thing. but you continuing to live your life in the fashion that you see suitable for yourself, doing that, being happy, being excited, just living your highest, best life. I mean, those are the things that get people to go, what are they on and how do I get some? That's how that happens. So, your other diehard Jesus fan, you have to understand that there's some people out there that are too smart for their own good, right? And that's a nice way of saying that they're fucking idiots. Sorry, they're out there. Now, if you believe in Jesus, I'm not saying that that's you. I'm not. But what I am saying that if you have anything in your mind outside of math, and even that, that is a absolute 100% permanation that there's no way that it can change for you, no matter what amount of new information that you have. I don't care what field it is. You're an idiot. You are. I'm sorry. You can never know all that there is to know, and new information will always merit a new type of feedback, a new type of information. So I've met with this one Christian guy like 5, 6 times because he keeps thinking he's going to convert me. And one thing that you'll learn, like when you go into your self development, that when you start talking to people and teaching other people, you learn a lot about yourself as well. So I love meeting with him because, and Ken, shout out, brother. He always thinks he's going to say these things that are going to convert me, and it's not a matter of conversion or not. It's a matter of I know lies, and I'm not going to go back into a lie. I know plagiarism. I'm not going to go back into something that's plagiarism. I'm not. There's just certain things that you can't do because that's it, right? But tomorrow Jesus came back and was like, "Yo, man, I'm right here, and all this is true. I was wrong. I'm so, but that's just not going to happen, right? Jesus was probably a guy named Isa, right? Studied with monks, all these, but so again, there's certain parts that are true, and there's other parts that are not, and the parts that tell you can't read any other book. Anytime you see you can't do that, right? Like, hey, look, I did all my homework. Just don't ask mom or dad. Why would you say that? Doesn't that mean that there's a chance maybe you didn't? Right? Like in math, you don't go, look, 2 plus 2 is 4. Tomato Silva, I'm down. Let me know when you want to do a show. I'm always down to do shows. I love it. If any topic, I'm in. But so you can't be like, go ask your dad. Well, I don't want to ask. Why not? Because if the information is the true information, it's going to be true no matter where you go, right? So the moment in the Bible that it says you cannot read any other books, everything else is wrong, what do you mean? If this is the ultimate truth, I should be able to read any of the books about spirituality. They should take me right back to here if this is the ultimate truth. So that's how you should know all the religions they're not good for you. None of them. It's just another form of control. It's just another way of just understanding these things. Really, really important. Tavius, this line made me read the paper. So a former pastor said this to me. How can the creator be in conflict with its creation? Referring to the creation and fall of Lucifer in the battle for the soul. Right, it doesn't. And so that's the other thing also, even taking the idea of Lucifer, right? So I was the oldest of 3 boys in my family, right? And luckily I was the behaved, mischievous one, right? That makes sense. And so I never got kicked out of the house. But I had a brother that did because he didn't do what everyone said to do in the house. Now, if that happens, does he become the devil now because he didn't do what he was told in his home and got kicked out? Because that's kind of what happened to Lucifer. I mean, again, guys, devil's advocate for real. I mean, there's things. Yes, and Tomato asked me if I'm familiar with the collective Christ consciousness. Okay, so I am, and one of the questions that Marissa asked me is about this Christ consciousness thing, and it's probably the biggest thorn in my soul system. Like this Christ consciousness thing, I absolutely hate it with every version of my being, of my fiber. Not because I don't like the idea behind it, but the wording is really, 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 really important. And I'll get to that when I get to this question. So let's see. There's still a bit more. Scare tactics used to push you closer to God. Yeah. So it's always a scare tactic. If you're scared about something and that's what's making you go to church, you need to stop going. Like that. Yeah. You shouldn't do things for reward or for punishment. You should just do them because. So when I heard you say this, I kind of thought to myself, all these diehard Jesus fans are going to think you're the Antichrist, and there'll be no room for any kind of conversation. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. If me saying that you shouldn't go to church and you should look within and you should get into nature more and all those things. And someone's going, that's fine. I've been called way worse for way less. And so anyone pointing something out to you about this is how that's not really you. You know what I mean? So if someone's like, get this, mm, we'll do it in a safe way. So I have this friend, right, who used to be a very big Christian, right, and still their best friend still is very very Christian. And I brought this person with me to a festival, and from my understanding is they're worried about what could possibly happen at one of these festivals because we're not doing things together. Oh, now you get out to this place, and it's literally nothing but the most loving, caring. I want to love you and hug you, and you need anything. And hey, we're doing free tea later, and just people that just want to care and love on you. That's it. But you have all these other people that are like, man, I'm not doing up there worshiping them wood gods and Satan, and like, you have no idea what you're talking about. So I understand being scared of the unknown, but go into it to find out if you should or shouldn't be scared. Like, there's a way bigger thing. So unfortunately, just the diehard fanatics, that's what they're going to be until the moment they decide to be otherwise. And it happens for everyone at different stages. I was one of those people for like 6 years, very deep in, very. And it wasn't anything that someone else could have said or told or anything. It was just I came across it in the time I'm like, I want to look into it. So this is my best, I guess, ammunition for that. All right, Marcel, that's the best thing I can tell you is I'm a huge fan of giving people what they want. Right. So if you believe this, then prove it. So anyone that can argue with you about whatever they want to, it's the same thing with the Mistake bands and people saying it's not real, right? But I've got thousands, tens of thousands of testimonials of people that it's the greatest thing ever because they had the personal experience. So challenge these people. Look, if you think what you believe is real, then watch these 3 to 4 shows with an open eye. And when you're done watching them, if you still believe everything you believe, then maybe I need to rethink what I think. But they won't do it because no one wants to find out the information that they have is not correct until you want to become enlightened, until you become awoke, before you want to find out how do I become better. You cannot improve on a perfect system. You can't. So if you think everything you're doing is perfect and there can be no improvements, maybe you're right. And if you're happy and you're living it up and doing everything, then fantastic. Do your thing. I'm not saying don't. But on the other hand, if there are things that can be different, you have to look at the things that you're doing. You have to look at your belief system, your rituals. You have to look through your routine. If I had the ability to take this camera through, this is the Mistake office up here, right, and show you guys, there is literally 10,000 plus things in here specifically to have the routine of creating a wizard environment, to have energy grids all over the place with Chris, like, do these things on purpose and try anything for a month. You can try anything for a month and see what it does for you. And if it doesn't work out, you can always stop doing it and do something else. You know what I mean? So Tomato, good, really good questions. So have I read the Apocrypha of the Dead Sea Scrolls? So I've skimmed through a lot of the stuff. It's been a long time since I sat and read through any full book. Not because I don't like to read, I love to read. I just get so much information meditating and downloading, which probably sounds like horseshit to some people, but it's what happens. And I love getting information that way because it's not of ego. There's not anything that's, it doesn't seem like there's an agenda. It just seems like pure information. And so it's interesting. There's times where, like, dude, I never read, heard, or saw a single Tony Robbins anything. I just knew he was a big motivational speaker. When if you haven't seen it on Netflix, I'm Not Your Guru. I don't know if it's still there or not, but when it came out, I was watching it with my mom and my wife, and they're like, "You sure you've never seen this before?" And I'm like, "Nope." And he says all the exact same stuff that I say, and I don't think it's me. I think it's when you get to spirit, when you get to truth, it's going to be the truth for everybody. So it doesn't matter. I do need to get more into the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I've been through my tablets a bunch of times, the Emerald tablets. That's like my go-to when I want to read, But yeah. Good questions. Jade and Tavius are both in the building. Man, missed that crew. What's up, guys? So ironically, as I'm writing this, an old client of mine showed up. Long story, on the table, I come to find she's a diehard Jesus is the only way person. Made me uncomfortable. Yeah. Somebody not wanting me to know. Okay. Some people will never be able to open their perception, but can we still harmoniously coexist? So yes. So that's the best part of all this, guys, right? And it's interesting. It's really interesting to me that the tomato. Yes, I'll get to that. Time talk. My bad. I'll get to that in just a second. But I have amazing ways of accessing the Akashic records. Oh man, it's my everything. So can we coexist? So this is my thing. I believe, and this is where the belief part comes in. So I could be lying, guys. I'm sorry. I wish this was a knowing. I believe we can, but it's going to really require everyone to embrace their religion, as anti-religion as I am, and all that. And this is what I mean by that. So, without getting into the extremist versions of it, all the religions again get into love your neighbor, right, and follow the rules of your government, and blah blah blah. Well, if you're in America, at least this is a place where religion freedom is a thing, so anyone can have whatever they want. So if we can stay out of the extremist point of views, then I think absolutely we can definitely coexist. For us, it should be way easier because it's this. I take it, and if it sounds egotistical, it's okay because I'm sure it is to a degree, and I apologize for it. I'm working on it. But when I talk to Christians and see like what they want to talk about and what gets them excited and everything, it's the same thing as like watching my 11-year-old play with his Legos. Like it's cute, it's great, and someday you can take this little thing you're playing with and build something amazing and something with substance and do that. And I'm not saying that there's not Christians out there that are doing it. There's a lot of amazing ones I know that help a lot of people and do all that, and that's fantastic. But I'm talking about the mainstream and how it's all going. No, because most of the good Christians that I know really don't even act like Christians. They don't. They do the parts that they like, but I don't know any Christians that follow the entire Bible. They go, I want this part, right? And same thing with Muslims. I know a lot of Muslims that follow all of the Quran. They go, I like this part, right? Still we need some pork every once in a while. Like, so guys, there's a wide varying field of all these different things. So you just have to keep that in mind. And as long as we can learn to tolerate each other, like we have to get to the point where we know, like, whatever you're doing at your house, if it's not physically affecting me or my family, then I should not give a shit. Like how is this not a thing that we're all doing all the time, right? So but we never live harmoniously, Melissa, for sure. Pertaining to question 3, you seem quite anti-Jesus. Hold on. I'll make sure I don't forget this question. Okay. Anti-Jesus talk. Do you want to elaborate exactly what you are anti about? The church, religion, or actual Jesus? So the Christ consciousness. That this was the question that was coming up. Asking because many New Agers speak of Christ consciousness or Jesus being Sananda, an ascended master. What's your take? Okay, and then we'll get back to the Dead Sea stuff. So this is my problem. Again, if you watch Zed guys, and there's other stuff out there. I mean, even the spirit science, there's all sorts of information out there. Just you have to want to get the truth. You have to want the truth more than you want to be right. Right. So if you can get out and chase after the truth, you're going to come up with the same stuff. That's why you shouldn't lie. You don't remember stuff if you don't lie, because you'll say the same truth every time. So it's not that I'm anti-Jesus. I'm anti-society's Jesus, right? Jesus, the Isa, right? Whoever he was, whoever this ascended master was in Mesopotamian times, though there's no historians that talk about anything like that other than the Christo, again, in the shows I'm talking about. But whoever that person was and was doing that thing, bless that person, love them, they were fantastic. That whoever really did that, so I need to be honest, I don't have a problem with whoever that was, if that person really existed. But the modernized version that we celebrate December 25th on the pagan holiday, that we use Christmas trees where there's no pine in Jerusalem, there's no pine trees in what? Like all the things that have set up in the mainstream on how it's all treated and explained, that's what I'm against. And the reason that I'm very anti the term Christ consciousness, again, contextually, I understand what they're talking about, right? Now, watch this. And Thomas, this is a really good question. And everyone that's on the channel, please give feedback on this because I'd love to hear this. So, to me, using the term Christ consciousness for the New Agers is a way of getting people that are within religions that know who Christ is excited about this idea of being pure and all these things. But it still redirects back to this guy out of the Bible that we're talking about, which we know is horseshit. So I don't see what the point of doing that is. It would be like, hey, you know what? I got this really good idea. What we're going to do is we're going to put together this Hitler Foundation. I said it. We're going to put together this Hitler Foundation because I know that we all know that he was crazy, caused genocide, killed tons of innocent people, millions, all these terrible things, hated people. But you know what? This guy could really bring people together and put together an army. So we're going to call it that. No, you can't use that in misstep and misplace this whole other thing. So contextually, I understand that the New Age community is trying to get the idea of a pure consciousness out there, and it goes together and coins well and all that. But I'm against all that because it still goes back to this thing that in the mainstream version of who this person is, and we know it's not the real thing. We know it's not real. We don't celebrate it the way it's supposed to be celebrated. We don't talk about it the way we talk about it. I did 2 Christmases. I didn't hear anyone do grace. So it's just, I'm pretty much anti anything that is a tedious spinning of the wheels only because it's socially accepted. Like, where's the substance? Where's the impact? Where's the growth? Where's the love? Where's the light? Where's those things? And so I'm really anti that Christ consciousness term because contextually it's amazing. And it could be done in such a better way, but it just still has that same like the Hitler Foundation. And we're just trying to get a bunch of people to group together. It's nothing to do with Nazis. But so same thing. That's why I don't like the term Christ consciousness. See, I don't want to miss these things. The Akashic Records. So accessing the Akashic Records. Anyone that's out there, you've not been on Alchemy 101. This is just a midweek. We're gonna start doing this on Wednesdays. Try to be informal a little bit. Drinking coffee. Informal. The Akashic Records was actually something I was working on when I was 14, working on my thesis, something I was going to call the ocean of thoughts, right? I had this big board, and I thought it was really cool. And then when I became woke, whatever, we need a better term, guys. We've got to figure out a good term that's why I just said wizard at the same time. But there's this thing out there called the Akashic Records, which is this, who knows, like, where's our soul, where's my voice coming from, right? But not the throw, but all right, so there's this field somewhere that's recorded every single bit of recorded history from the beginning of time, right? The beginning of time, and it's referred to as the Akashic Records. Now, if you jump on YouTube, and in the comment section, which direction? I forget. Is the camera over there? I think you'll see how it's spelled. But you can look up Akashic Record binaural beats, isochronic tones. There's certain frequencies, vibrations that you can listen to that will help you access the Akashic Records. Now, I'm going to tell you something that's very, very important. I was just talking, I think actually to Marissa when I asked these questions. Get a Super 7 crystal, melody stone, right? Stone of Isis, not the terrorist, the god. But a Super 7 crystal, in my opinion, and in my form of what I've worked with in my experience, is something that will get you plugged into the Akashic Records very, very, very quickly. So if you want to be able to access them, and what's interesting about the Akashic Records is sometimes you'll go there and you'll get the information you want, and that's fine, but you'll also get like a partial download of something else, and you won't even know that you got it. And then you'll be talking with someone about something, and you'll go blah, 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 blah. Well, I don't even know where I got that information. But it comes to you during the Akashic Records. So it's really important that you start practicing your astral projecting more, right? Get away from all the fear-based stuff, right? If it's something that's out there that's you are God, you are all powerful, you are a creator. There are things out there that can hurt you for sure, but in the spiritual sense, you kind of have to purposefully open yourself up invitingly. So you don't have to worry about astral projecting and something else coming into your that can happen. So don't worry about that. But a Super 7 will help a ton. Listening to more frequencies and binaural beats and such to help get your being charged to be able to go in and out. Will help. And then again, astral projecting. I mean, Robert Monroe, there's a thing that's called the Robert Monroe Institute, for a lot of people to him, where he talks about all sorts of stuff. It's amazing. But those type of things will help you with accessing the Akashic Records. Let's see. Me. What was me? Let's see. I highly recommend. I will. So thank you. Darlene, how you doing? The Christ. I know. I understand it doesn't refer to that version. I got that, and I understand that. And that's okay. Again, I know that they're not directly towards that, but just because there's that correlation. So again, I understand, but that's just yeah. I'm very big on routines and follow through, and hearing Christ, 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 Christ again, especially coming from a pre-programmed religious point of view. That's always going to be the finger it re-points to. You know what I mean? If we took Christianity completely out of it, like off of humans' history, then I think it'd be a great routines because you know what we're talking about. But right now, in that time, like, yeah. All right, we're getting close to a whole hour already. Wow, man, it went by really quick. A couple other questions. So that's my take. Without revealing your secret technology, can you tell me more about the machines that are used to somehow transfer these? So next, actually tomorrow, 8 p.m. on artistverse.com will be the radio version, but tomorrow, probably around 4 or 5, I'm going to be doing a live broadcast on the regular Alchemy 101, and it's going to be on the human body, the perfect conductor. There's a big expo that's coming up in February that I believe I'll be doing a lecture at, all about Mystech and the Schumann resonance and how our energy and the frequencies, all these things work. And so we've had a lot of things like non-disclosure agreements and things that some have been lifted, some have been adjusted to where I finally will be able to talk more about how we are able to imprint these frequencies. It's not going to be as much information as everyone wants. Sorry, but it'll at least be some more stuff that you can look and do to get more references and so on. What is your? I got 3 questions up. So if you guys have been sitting with me so far, we'll go a little past an hour. This isn't the radio version, so we'll be good. You guys having a good time? Everyone's out there. I'm really interested about doing a show with you, man. Jade, Tavius, thanks guys for showing up. I don't know who else is also on the channel, but love you guys. Thank you. What is your main focus, goal, vision you're trying to bring forth and accomplish? Man, so when I was 12, right, I went out in the middle of the woods. Right, this was really scary and fun. And if anything gets me locked up and called a crazy person, I'll do this. I did this huge ritualistic practice when I was 12, and I went out in the middle of the woods to summon a god. True story. And make deals and figure out, how to get access to this stuff. And so my agreement was with Loki. Great, good guy, good guy. The agreement was to reintroduce spirituality and magic into the world because it's missing. And so my real focus is to reawaken all the slumbering giants that are out there that happened to me. Like, I wish I knew what I knew now 10 years ago. But I also understand that if I got the same amount of information that I had then, I'd be a different person now as well. So I don't wish anything changed. So it's one of those double-edged swords. But again, I think knowing sooner than later is a good thing. So my main goal, focus, life's purpose, I think, is to teach people really who they are again. Like, help them remember, help them find their life's purpose, and just really get out of this idiotic broken system that we have from the way our society looks at kids, looks at women, looks at minorities, like all the things that we have, just they need to change, but it needs to be on an individualistic basis, right? Holding up the idiot mirror to ourselves and going, how moronical can I be today? And then when you figure out that list, figure out all the ways to not do that, right? So that's really what I really want to bring forth, just people's God mind, like knowing what we're really capable of, how important what we're doing is, and really and enjoying every moment of it. Guys, you have to know that the spirituality and this love and this big movement I'm talking about, it's not getting up and meditating all day long. It's not getting up and just doing yoga. So I got my yoga mat right there. It's not any of those things. It's getting into a place where you can acknowledge that, hey, I'm an adult, but no one taught me how to do this the right way, and I don't think anyone else knows what they're doing either. And you want to work on a self-development program for yourself, whatever that means. And like I said at the beginning, I think no matter what, if you really dive in deep to who you are as a person, not only will you be surprisingly in love with who you are, you're going to find out you're really hard on yourself for no reason. And there's just way more things out there to enjoy in life than worrying about like what the Kardashians had for breakfast yesterday. Like that's just where I'm at. I mean, if some people need that, then it's great. But that's really what I want to bring forth. Just more understanding, more happiness, and less judgment. I think judgment's a big thing. I wish everyone treated things the same, but they don't, and we're working on it. Let me get these two questions, and I got you. Timothy, hold on. What are some of your more recent findings and interests you've discovered lately? So this is great. So with MISTEC, guys, the Schumann resonance, right, it restabilizes the way your protons spin. This is the science part. But I'm so glad you asked that. Very good friend of mine, Penelope, my little pixie friend, she was telling me that she came across an actual bee, right, like a bee, like we kind of do honey and stuff. And it looked like it was like wings were shriveled and on its way out. And so she took one of our 7.83 hertz bands and literally put it around the bee, and within a couple minutes, if that, the bee actually started like re-stretching out, started feeling all good, and when you know, the bee even flew away. So the frequency doesn't just affect humans; it affects animals. And I thought that was an amazing thing because I don't hear a lot of animal stories that often. But for a bee of all things, man, like that was just it was really important to me. I thought it was fantastic. And then last question from Marissa, and then Thomas, I got you, brother. Um, what would you personally recommend on ways to protect one's energy body from any kind of harmful energies that might want to latch on before, during, or after a journey? Really good question. So earlier I mentioned the Sacred Seven, the Super Seven Stone, Super Seven, Sacred Seven, Melody Stone, all the same crystal, is my go-to for everything. Amazing for protecting you from outside energies. But the main thing that I always want to reiterate, like having all these extra tools and stuff is needed because of the world that we're in. But at the end of the day, your being, your God body, your creator that you are, your thoughts, mind, process, all that ultimately is going to be your best defensive mechanism that you have. Right? So carrying black tourmaline on you to keep negative energies away, that's fantastic. Putting amethyst in your pockets and in your bra and building a crystal grid on your body, that's an amazing thing that you can be able to do. But at the end of the day, we're going to be what we allow. And so, it's difficult to cut people out or see them less until you start doing it. And it's actually really, really easy. But your best protection is just being prepared and knowing ahead of time what you potentially can get yourself into. And so I have this thing I like to call being a man of zero. And so there's all these probabilities and possibilities at all times. But whatever is the absolute worst thing versus the absolute best thing, which one of those has a chance of happening? If the bad thing is not an absolute zero, then I say don't do it. It's not worth the risk most of the time. And most of the time, we do these things to please other people that we don't even want to see or spend time with or anything. Anyways, we just have, again, from our childhood programming, the need to make these people happy or make them understand where we're coming from. And it's not neat, guys. It's not. 2019. This is the new everything. So start this year with those patterns. Start with that idea. Tom said, what are your thoughts on Aleister Crowley's idea of establishing direct union with God in order to bring about new religions? Man, so that's a really good question. My thoughts on Aleister Crowley. So just being honest, aside from what I've come across in mainstream stuff, unfortunately, but I'm just looking at it with my alchemic eye, I don't know a ton about that. But it's funny, people have asked me when I'm going to start a religion. It's funny. I don't think I could ever do it. The tax break sounds nice, but so I don't. I'm kind of anti-religion. To be honest with you, I don't think anything ultimately is for everybody. I just don't. Like, really quick example: peanut butter, amazing, protein, tasty, best thing since PB&J. So obviously, peanut butter is something that everyone should have. It's wonderful. My 18-month-old baby will die if he eats it. It'll kill him. He's allergic. So just because it's good for some other people for all these other reasons, it's terrible for him for one. And so I don't think any mass anything other than mass you do your thing, mass you do your thing, mass, hey, how's that working out for you? Oh, hey, I might try that. I don't think that there should be any religions that say this is it, except for the whole stance of the entire book should be one page. And all I should say is your God, their God, act respectively. Like, that's it. As long as that's the most of a religion that there should be. Know that you're divine, know what you're capable of, and know what this plane of reality is. If you can do that, everything else after that is your journey, your path, your everything. You should do that on your own. Doing it with more people is definitely good, and it helps. So I think it's fantastic. I think the best religion that we could have is whatever you call the gathering at Beloved. It's this huge festival in Portland, and it's all shapes, sizes, creeds, races, religions, all that. But while you're there, none of the religions are relevant. None of them are. Are you a human being? Me too. I love you. You love me. That's it. And then how do we grow together? How do we learn from the pain that we've had? Like that's all we need. We just have to get back to being one on one, which is also the double edged sword of the internet. You know, it's taken us away from our people physically, but it's given me the ability to connect with all you guys today. So it's just getting that connection and that open perspective of not judging. Like just because someone would do something for a certain reason doesn't mean that you have to do it for the same reason. Just because certain people had this and this outcome happen, well, you can do it with a different approach and have it not happen, right? Like I grew up in Iowa, right? Cattle country, right? Steak, potatoes, church, marriage. That's how it works, right? I came to Portland. No steak, vegan. What do you mean? Oh, no. Marriage. Oh, we're polyamorous around here. What do you mean? So here, everyone does what works for them. That's one of the main reasons I want to come to Portland. So I feel like you can't, you just can't press your ideals onto another person. So as long as what you're doing doesn't physically affect another person, like directly, not because they decided to get stressed out about what you're doing and it made them physically sick, no, then everyone should be able to do whatever they want. And no religion is really going to make that abundant. And in my opinion, and I could be wrong. I'd love to be wrong. Love is our religion. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. So guys, hey, so thank you. This was midweek magic. I had fun. It was really good. Thank everyone that showed up and participated. And Marissa, I didn't see you in the channel, so hopefully this answered all the questions really good. And thank you, like an amazing line of questions. Next week we're gonna do the same thing. It'll probably be around noon. Every Wednesday we're just gonna start doing this new extra little show. Kind of get more into my personal life and just things that help me evolve into the alchemist I am now. And as I continue my evolution, thank you guys for your perspectives and your questions. If you have a list of questions, ideas, anything you'd like to discuss on the show, message me either on Facebook or you can reach me at halo.marquise@gmail.com. Email me that way. And really, no questions are off limits. I'm very, very open. You can't ask me anything that's going to upset me or whatever. You might not like my answer, but I'll give you the best, honest version that I can. So again, guys, thank you so much. You can catch more of the Alchemy 101 shows at artistfirst.com if you want to hear the archived radio versions. On YouTube, if you look up orderofalchemy.org, I believe that takes you to our YouTube channel for the podcast. You'll see more live videos with my wife, with my son, interviews with some amazing artists and just people that are really, really affecting the world. And that's what we got to do. So I implore all of you guys, let's be better humans. And thank you again for spending time with me, man. Love you guys. I'll see you next week. Oh, hold on. I didn't make it. Hold on. Code of creation story. Animals. Earth, hippie. Orlando, thank you. The code of creation story. Guys, check out the code of creation story. It's like, all animals have healing power, spiritual impact. Yes, man, that's all of us, brother. Man, thank you, man. Thank you for that. Okay, guys, love you. I'll see you for real this time. Later.